Hello, my friends. Okay, so this is the planetary weather report for Taurus rising. You can read or listen if you are a Taurus sun or Taurus moon, but I recommend that people listen for the rising sign because it's more accurate. Sorry, the light is getting a little strange, but we're going to see what happens. So basically, the overview is July 21st to 24th, just about. And it's Jupiter kind of having a last hurrah in Pisces and meeting with Venus, and that's going to be great. We'll talk about that. And then we're getting a full moon in Aquarius, and we're going to talk about that and what that means for you. So basically, Jupiter is a planet, it's the planet of opportunities, expansion, more possibilities, optimism, luck. It's all the good stuff that it's kind of bringing us, uplifting us. And in Pisces, it's like one of its favorite places to be, where he works very well because it's his home. He has all of his tools. He has all his everything laid out before him. He can do everything he wants to do. And Jupiter is in reverse right now. He's in retrograde, so he's moving backward, and that's great. But he's going to get to a place where he's like very close. I think right now, like 0 Pisces. So Jupiter, Pisces, and then he's going to go back so far into to regress back into Aquarius, and so he'll be at like 29 Aquarius next week. So Jupiter in Aquarius isn't like exactly his favorite place to be. It's more like if you left your home where you had everything and then you went to an Airbnb that wasn't like amazing, but it wasn't terrible. You're just like, yeah, it's cool. It's, it's not my vibe, but it's fine. It has everything I need. It's fine. So that's kind of the vibe that Jupiter will be having. We'll talk about that more next week. But what we really need to talk about is how Jupiter has been in your 11th house of friends, groups, alliances, and people you associate with that you consider yourself one of, like a club or people that you're like, oh, that's me, them, like I belong to them in some way, maybe a social justice group or like some kind of just a group of friends or something like that. So Jupiter in Pisces, a lot of expansion, good vibes, a lot of dreaminess and sort of trusting in the universe, compassion happening in that place of friends and groups for the past 2 months. That sounds pretty good and fun. And then what is happening on Wednesday and Thursday, Jupiter will be having this last hurrah, this kind of last party, like clinking glasses with Venus, and Venus will be just moved into Virgo in your 5th house. So Venus into your 5th house is really fun. Venus is like, that is her place. Like Venus, pleasure, love, harmony, bringing people together, bringing things together, and values what you find valuable, pleasurable, possibly money. So Venus into that 5th house of recreation, fun, creativity, romance, sex, possibly children. Great. Jupiter expanding, more Venus, love and beauty. This is all great. It's going to be great that Wednesday night, Thursday, indulging relationships, harmonious feelings, the expansion of beauty and values, luxury, did I already say that? Extravagance. It could be just going overboard, though. Like, that's the kind of dark side with this. It could be I ate too much, or I extended myself too much, or I jumped into something with a guy or lady that was way too soon. I way overextended myself. I said way too much, or like, we just met and we're getting married, like that. That's way too much. You can't do that. I mean, maybe you can, but I recommend no one do that. So that is the vibe that could be the shadow side. Like with Venus and Jupiter, it's not going to be like war, but it could be like, I went way overboard and I went overboard gambling and I lost all this money, or I overate and I feel awful and it triggered this ongoing illness that I'm dealing with, or I don't know, like something that sounds good, it's all good, it's sweetness, it's great, but it's just inflated to this point of like, you cannot, you cannot keep up at this rate. It's just insane. And it will have this moment of, that was too much. So just keep it in check, like Wednesday and Thursday. Like, have fun, have the party, you know, clink champagne glasses, but like, be careful not to go overboard with that area of romance, sex, maybe children, recreation, and that area of groups and friends. It just could go into a place that you regret. But it's all good, and we're saying, okay, great. Well, the next few days, so the full moon on Friday is in Aquarius, and that's great. Full moon Aquarius, that is happening in your, where am I? Your Taurus rising. That is happening in your 10th house. So the 10th house is your place of, it's career, but it's also what you do in the world, how people know you. It might not be your actual job, but it's like, oh yeah, that guy that walks all those dogs or something, or like the lady that, I don't know, it's how you're known in the world. It's your most public standing. So the full moon is happening in that place, and I feel like it's a kind of culmination or harvesting of energies with regards to that area of career or public standing. And that can be great. It just has a little bit of a twinge of something a little uncomfortable, because Saturn has been sitting there in that same place of career or public standing since December, putting a lot of more responsibility there, or duty, or feeling of heaviness, or feeling of you know, there's a constriction or restriction or an obstruction of some sort. And like, maybe I can't flow the way I want to, or it seems heavy or locked down in some way. And that's not exactly fun. So that full moon is kind of highlighting like that area of, hey, remember your career stuff, remember your public standing stuff. This kind of needs to be worked out. We kind of need to come back to it, because it's like at an emotional, from an emotional standpoint, it's just becoming, you know, more again with this full moon. It's highlighting what is going on in that house, because Saturn is still sitting there, and has been sitting there, and will be sitting there, and it has just gone through this really uncomfortable kind of conundrum with your first house of self, where things are shaking up and you're changing. You're like, I don't even, am I this person? I'm changing my identity, or maybe appearance or body, something to do with your body. And then Mars, that just went through your home, family, living situation area. So something with that conundrum kind of kicking up again with this full moon, just saying, hey, remember, we have this work to do in the area of career, in the area of public standing. But next week, when we talk about this more, about Jupiter going back into that 10th house is like, okay, here I am. I'm going to help you. We don't have to be limited to this idea. We don't have to be locked down to this. What else can we see on the horizon? What else can we make out of this situation? Like, how can we make this better? How can we expand this? Like, Jupiter will just bring some better vibes to that 10th house. And I will talk about that more next week. But I basically just wanted to touch on Jupiter's having this last hurrah in your place of groups, friends. And then Venus will be in Virgo in your place of creativity, romance, pleasure, possible children. So both of those are great. Just watch out for overindulgences or going overboard, especially with, I would say, possibly gambling or extending yourself in a sense of romance or something that, you know, goes way beyond what you're able to continue. And then, you know, the full moon coming in to just kind of highlight, you know, the stuff that's happening back in the career area that we need to refocus on, where Jupiter will be coming back to sort of roll up its sleeves and start doing the dishes again at the home. I'm sorry, at the workplace. I guess not rolling up its sleeves. Yeah, rolling up its sleeves and helping at the place of work or your public standing. So that is what's basically happening this week, and I will be back next week, and we're going to talk more about Jupiter going back into that place and more. So that is what I have, and I will be back next week. Thank you.